Alright, let's go ahead. Oh, it's nice and cold. Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to another opening night. And oh boy, I've been waiting to talk about this one. And what a way to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving. It's Sunday as I'm recording this, and I'm unfortunately not with my family because of COVID, so I've had to be stuck at home. But that's okay. I had a nice Thanksgiving dinner to myself. I had a nice cut ham, scalloped potatoes, and some broccoli. You know, little vegetables to keep you up. But I had to sit through probably the most fascinating of the Twilight saga. This is another Patreon request from my sister donating $5 a month, which she owes me a couple months now because I'm going ahead. This will be me discussing part 1 of our grand finale of the Twilight saga with Breaking Dawn part 1. Now, funny enough, my history with this film, this is actually the first one I ever saw fully. In fact, my sister dragged me to the cinemas in the early morning of opening day to see this, and I knew these movies had a really bad reputation at the time. And I came out really not necessarily invested, but kind of intrigued with what this movie was doing. Now, plot as in the last few films. Bella and Edward are getting married. They get married. We see a lot of the wedding reception, and you know what? It's a nice wedding reception. I've been to a lot of weddings, and they're really nice. They start really sweet, and it's like, oh, it's all cute and lovey-dovey. You know, you see all the different things they do for it, and then, you know, you have your speeches at your dinner, and the dinner's really nice, and then there's the party, the wild party, which is fun, and, also, the opening scene has Jacob getting the invitation. The first 5 seconds of this movie, he looks at the invitation, just shirts off. We know you are expecting this, audience, so just get it off the bat. And basically, Edward and Bella go to their honeymoon, I think in Rio? Which one's the one with the big Jesus statue that's like this, doing the T-pose? I can't remember, but I think they go to Rio, and they go to an island called Isle Esme, which is owned by Edward's brother, I think, right? He owns an island. You're wondering, why does he own an island? Well, I mean, they've been immortal for years, so he probably bought it when it was affordable, back in the 1920s and shit, which, by the way, I want to point out, we see flashbacks of how Edward's life for thousands of years or whatever, around the time he really got into eating human flesh, like he craved human blood, he would actually go after criminals. So Robert Pattinson was already Batman before becoming Batman. And I actually thought that was kind of cool, and one of the Easter eggs I did kind of like in this movie is that when he's at the cinema, keeping an eye on this girl who's going to get mugged and he eats the bad guy, they're showing Bride of Frankenstein, which is funny. So I thought, oh, that's a nice little Easter egg, I guess. But anyway, so that means it obviously takes place in, like, 1934, which is funny. So, basically, they go to Rio, and they're on their honeymoon, they're on this island, and there's a lot of fucking. Yeah, that's just fucking like rabbits, what can I say? Unfortunately, it is PG-13, and that's one of the downsides of this film. I really wish they went a full R on this one, because this is where you could have really had the balls to make it more dark, more adult, especially given your audience is growing with these movies, but you don't because of the tween crowd, which sucks. So, basically it gets to the point where Edward breaks the bed. So, they're constantly switching out beds. There's honestly some good comedy and humor and everything in this first act of the film. But then I think maybe 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks in, I can't remember, Bella gets pregnant, and and this is where the movie honestly gets surprisingly kind of fascinating. I don't know what it is about this film and why I'm kind of fascinated to see what is the outcome of this human-vampire hybrid experiment, but I'm kind of intrigued to see where this goes. Is it going to be a regular human child, or is it going to be like Rosemary's Baby, where it's like, Satan is his father, you know, and that kind of jazz, because Rosemary's Baby's a fucked up movie. And I mean, I've seen things like, look, and honestly, the whole vampire baby thing, whatever it comes out to be, look, I've seen my share of fucked up movies. I've seen frickin' Carnosaur, where a woman gives birth to a dinosaur egg. Like a fucking Yoshi. And it's hard to really faze me on what happens. I saw The Fly recently. The Jeff Goldblum Fly and fucking Gina Davis giving birth to a weird lava hentai thing. Nothing surprises me, but part of me is like, I want to see what the hell comes out of that fucking hole of hers, you know? It just, I am so fascinated by this. It's demented, but it's like, okay, let's see where this goes. And the movie really does address some interesting points. We see even Edward looking up legends of frickin' vampire demon child and everything. And Jacob and his wolf tribe have some good moments. I mean, like, yeah, the dialogue's not good. Like, everybody's made fun of the whole thing where the wolves are having a meeting and saying, it's an abomination, we must destroy it! And and then you have Jacob standing up like, no, I am the grandson of the chief, but you're like, what type of fucking Lion King shit is this? It's so dumb. It's so stupid. But we just see, like, kind of the consequences of what happens here, and it's really fascinating. The one thing I will say is that this is the first time in the series I really didn't care for Edward, because he says something that really turns me off. Where, you know, obviously you bring in the witch doctor character on the island, and she points, pushes on Bella's stomach, and she instantly is like, death, death, evil, evil, and it's so cliche. But then fucking Edward looks at Bella and says, don't worry, we'll get that thing out of you. And you're like, I agree with Doug Walker on this, where it takes two, dumbass. And my biggest issue with this is that this is where Edward's character becomes a totally different person. This is not the person she married. He becomes a deadbeat dad while she's still, like, got the damn thing in her. And it's like, dude, you do knock somebody up, you better take goddamn responsibility for that. You know, whether you want to, you know, get rid of it or not, it's your goddamn responsibility, and you're being a dick. Don't be a dick, Edward. Jacob's being a more competent dad, like, responsible parent figure than you, and we'll get to him in a sec. So, I will give them credit that what they did with Bella in terms of, like, the makeup and making her look like goddamn Gandhi, like she lost a lot of weight, and I'm like, I was surprisingly impressed, and I actually thought that, I looked into research on it, I thought that Kristen Stewart had actually really lost weight for the role. But no, it was actually, surprisingly enough, done with CGI, and I was like, well, a bit of makeup and CGI, but I was like, that is very impressive work for the special effects guys. I mean, these guys, honestly, they don't have much money, a budget for these kind of effects, and even the werewolves still look awful. But, you know, what they did with the skin effects, like, this is probably 3 or 4 years prior to Rogue One with the Tarkin effect, which looked amazing to me. So, we were still in that development, and they used it to pretty decent effects here, so I'll give them props. They did a pretty solid job. The score this time around, it's not Howard Shore. This time it's, I think, Carter Burwell, who did, I believe, New Moon. I'm not 100% on that. But I do like his work. My favorite score he did was for an underrated movie called Rob Roy with Liam Neeson, Tim Roth, and Jessica Lange about, you know, Scotland. It sounds like Braveheart. Well, it's Braveheart in the 17th century. Great movie and an amazing score. So the fact that he did the score to this, I'm like, okay, you know, I can kind of see a bit of the Rob Roy score in here. It works into its favor. So basically, by the end, of course, Bella gives birth, and it's kind of a disappointment. I could have gone for a bit more gore because it's cut to a PG-13. And I don't know how many pages in the book the labor lasts. I mean, my sister would probably know because she's read the books. But in the movie, it's only like, what, 30 seconds? Come on, you could have pushed this out a bit to maybe about 5 minutes where you get real suspense in what's going on. And it just felt like the whole birth scene was really rushed because they knew that was going to be the most fucked up part of the movie. And that's what I think audiences paid for. That's what I paid for. I wanted to see how messed up this got. Because I was expecting some pretty decent effects, like gore effects. Like, look, I've seen The Thing. I've seen The Fly. It's like, come on. And they don't because PG-13, which, god damn it. But basically, she gives birth to their baby girl named Renesmee, and she dies, but then Edward, you know, puts the venom in her. Like, even down to, like, doing that freaking injection chest bit from fucking Pulp Fiction when Uma Thurman has an overdose. It's crazy. And then, obviously, Jacob is ready to kill this newborn baby because you killed my love. You're a bastard child. I'm gonna kill you. But I know people have said, oh, the whole imprinting on the baby thing and having fantasies and stuff. Yeah, it's a little odd. I'm not gonna lie, that's really fucking odd, but the movie doesn't dwell on it too much, so I guess you could... No, it's not acceptable. It's fucking weird. That's the part where I was like, that's fucking weird. You don't fucking do that. But, obviously ends, cliffhanger for part 2, where Bella becomes a vampire, you know, and those shots, I'll admit, are pretty solid, like, where she turns white, and then the eyes are red and cuts to black, and then for some reason, the credits end like a Tarantino or a Robert Rodriguez movie. It looks like something out of From Dusk Till Dawn. And there's a post-credit scene, but again, it leads to part 2, which I have not seen yet, so I'm actually looking forward to this finale to see how they end it. But overall, looking back on this one, especially since I saw it when it came out in theaters, I still enjoy it. Like, I still am kind of fascinated with this one in terms of what the themes are, what they talk about, not to great extent, but, you know, they're really sensitive, very adult issues, but at the same time, they very hit or miss on what they're talking about, because they also have to apply to what Stephenie Meyer wrote. And you could have done a little better with it, looking back on it now, especially as an adult. You know, you could have done a little bit better with this one in terms of really maybe swaying a little bit from the source material and actually having some real conversations about these issues, especially since the target demographic you're going for, but they don't, and it comes off as, oddly enough, really weird, almost 13, 15-year-old fan fiction in terms of what, you know, like interspecies romance like this is like. I mean, for example, I remember reading a few fan fictions back in the day of when Inuyasha and Kagome, where they have a child, and it's pretty much like this. You know, if you were to rework this story, especially part 1, as a Inuyasha story, it could work. It could honestly really work. And I just feel like here, it's just because of the characters and given it's Twilight, it's kind of not really balanced properly, so, but I still enjoyed the suspense and the fascination with what they were going for with the story, and I'm looking forward to see how they end it. I've heard not good things about the way it ends, so who knows? Let's see what happens. I'm gonna give this one probably, I'd say about a 7.5. I can't remember what I gave Eclipse. Was it 8? But I think this is a little lower than Eclipse. I liked Eclipse a lot more. Eclipse felt faster. Eclipse felt more action-oriented. This one is very paced out and very kind of... The pacing's a little off, like it's very slow. But over that slow time, you actually are interested in what's going to happen. So it's still decent. It's still good. I actually would... If I were to rank them right now, I'd say New Moon is the lowest because it's just really boring. But these last two have actually been pretty interesting. So, yeah, about a 7 out of 10. Go check it out if you have a morbid curiosity of what the themes are, and enjoy yourself. You could pretty much watch it back to back with The Fly and Rosemary's Baby. So, make of that what you will. So, again, guys, these are Patreon exclusives. If you guys want to have us watch a movie at your request, because cinemas are closed recently here in Toronto, if you guys want us to watch a film, and you want to help support the channel, if you donate $5 a month, you can basically have us review whatever you want. $5 a month, you get 1 request a month, and we're only doing the rest of the Twilight movies to make up for lost time. So basically, join me next week when we take a look at Breaking Dawn Part 2. I am really looking forward to see how this ends, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys and pretty much discussing the entire Twilight experience from my end, especially during Halloween. So, until the next video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing off, saying, don't... girls, I know they look attractive, but for your own physical, bodily safety, don't fuck a vampire. Later.